Church of Harrisburg.
We're good?
You're on.
All right. Good evening and welcome to Journeys with Judy. Tonight we have traveled to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania to speak with Rickie Freedman of Reiki with Rickie, Reiki Space and Learning Center. You have 2 locations. We're going to get to all that later. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. I'm
Your
very,
space
very
is
excited.
beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. It is. It's very
beautiful.
special.
We are here in the big classroom that you have, and we have artwork by a local artist hanging on the wall. I mean, it's just beautiful in here. The energy and atmosphere is very warm.
Thank you. Yes, it was very consciously created.
You
to
can
be
tell.
nurturing, but also professional,
Yes.
so that everybody feels comfortable here.
Yes, and very, I mean, down to the smallest detail.
Every inch.
You paid attention to
Every
everything.
Inch. That's exactly right.
That's fantastic. Very intentional. Very intentional.
Thank you for noticing.
Yes. Okay. What did I wanted to say something. I don't know what I wanted to say. I forget. Maybe it'll come up later. Okay. Well, let's start. We're going to start easy like we do every other interview. Where were you born and raised?
I was born and raised in Philadelphia. So I was a city girl, but never felt like a city girl.
No.
No. So as soon as I had the opportunity, I actually moved away, and I lived in Little Lewisburg, a small rural conservative college town. So I went from one extreme to the other.
Okay. And how old were you when you did that?
Well, I was a young adult. This was probably about maybe 1979-ish or so. Yeah.
Okay.
And I just turned 62, so you can figure it out.
Well, don't make me do math. You all can figure it out.
I don't want to either.
Comments, let me know.
So I lived in Lewisburg over 20 years until
Okay.
I moved to Harrisburg. It was 10 years this past December.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any siblings?
I have one younger sister. Hi, Lori. She's 2.5 years younger than I, and we've always gotten along fantastic.
Is she
Even though
local?
we're very different. She actually moved from Philadelphia to New Columbia, which is near where I lived in Lewisburg. And then, of course, I moved away.
Moved
She's
away.
still
Way to
there.
go.
Just keeping a nice distance.
That's why we get along so great.
Exactly. No, we have the best laughs together.
And you said you're very different.
Yes, we've
Yeah.
always been night and day different, but we've always been close.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, is she part of a spiritual community?
Yes, but she's part of a traditional spiritual community.
Okay.
You know, we were born and raised Jewish, actually, but not very religious, more in the cultural, traditional aspect, you
Okay.
know, family gatherings, you know, to acknowledge the holidays and all that. So my sister actually married somebody who is not Jewish, and she's very involved in her church. In fact, she works at the church as well, and that is her spiritual and her social community. So we both have gravitated towards a more spiritual perspective,
Right.
but just in different ways. And we honor and respect each other's choices. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
If only the whole world would do that.
Exactly. Exactly.
How would you describe your childhood?
Well, if you asked her, she'd probably give a different perspective than me, because I tend to always want to see the best. But
Okay.
yes, we had a very loving childhood.
Okay.
We were encouraged to be very independent.
Well, that works.
And my mom was known as the strictest mom on the block.
Oh.
So we had kind of a pretty challenging childhood sometimes because of that.
Okay.
Yeah. But there was no doubt that we were always loved.
Well, that's
Yeah. And so my mom actually passed away in 2012. And the last 2 years of her life, she was ill, very roller coaster ill. Should have gone 10 times over. And even her doctor said it's probably thanks to Reiki.
Oh,
But
wow.
during that time, we became really close. So we were superficially close, but we became spiritually close. We talked about everything. So
What a gift.
Oh my gosh,
What
you
an
have no
amazing
idea.
gift.
Yeah, I call her now my amazing miracle warrior mom.
No, not at all. We're open to
So,
whatever you're willing to
yeah.
share. That's what this is all about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, that's so. Was she open to the Reiki before she got sick?
Well, I'm a physical therapist by background.
Okay.
And she always loved me to give her neck and back massages. And so when I learned Reiki, I wanted to share that with her, and she let me share a little bit, but she always would say, "Oh, that's nice, but I like the massage."
Okay.
So one day I was being interviewed on an internet radio show, and that my mom was in Philadelphia and I was in Lewisburg at the time, and she listened to the whole thing. And after many years of sharing Reiki, she called me up and she said, "I want to have a Reiki session." I almost fell off my chair.
Like you had never offered?
Yeah. So I loaded my Reiki table into the car, I think that weekend, and I set it up in her living room, and I gave her a full Reiki session, first time. And at the end, I tapped her on the shoulder and I said, "Well done, Mommy." And she said, "No." And that happened to happen. Of course, we had no idea at that point. She was healthy, vibrant, very, very active. And that Reiki session happened right before she became critically ill very quickly.
Oh, wow.
And so she ended up having to have emergency surgery. And the only thing she remembered when she was coming out of the surgery on the respirator, hooked up to all the machines, was me standing over her sharing Reiki. And so it just happened, I got chills when I say that, perfect time and timing, because she was open to it then. And then she became my biggest fan, and through the course of time she ended up having to live the end of her life at a nursing home. And while she was still good and able to get around, she had been losing a lot of weight because of her illness. So I was giving her some of my clothes, and so she was riding around wearing all my Reiki by Rickie t-shirts.
Perfect.
She was giving out my cards, and she became one of my biggest fans.
A big old promoter there. That's
so
awesome.
That was really, really cool to see her come around.
Yes.
Actually, when she went on hospice, one of my students was a hospice nurse, so I hooked her up with God Hospice, thinking that she could get Reiki, as part of her hospice.
Right.
Well, she didn't want her; she only wanted me.
She wanted the best.
She wanted her
She
girl.
wanted her girl.
Yeah.
Exactly. Wow.
So it was really, really special, and it became part of our time together, and really helped her in so many ways. So.
Amazing gift. Wow.
Yeah, and it helped me stay calmer and peaceful throughout that journey. So that was a really important part of it too.
Beneficial for both of you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. I've heard you talk about your mom. What about your dad?
My daddy is 90 years old, and so I will show this to him. He's not on Facebook.
Okay.
So he's still mentally good.
Good.
And he is very, very proud of me.
Why wouldn't he be?
And so I'm his person, and he says my mom was a professional warrior and I inherited from her. So he gets very stressed out very easily and quickly over small little things. So I'm the one who needs to go and calm him down and, settle all the dilemmas, and that of course includes sharing Reiki. And so he doesn't quite fully understand it, but he embraces it now.
Okay.
Yeah, he's very sweet about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he lives close to you.
Yes, he lives halfway between here and home, so
Okay.
that's a real blessing.
That
Because
is
when I need to go run, I can get there quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
90 years old now. Is he living on his own?
He lives in an assisted living.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
But he doesn't want them, he wants me.
Of course. You are the fix-it lady.
Yes, I
am. What is your fondest childhood memory?
Oh my goodness. Well, I would say, just giggling with my sister. We used to beg my mom to sleep over in each other's bedrooms, and and playing with my friends in the neighborhood. Just, I was always very social, so that was an important thing to me.
Did you enjoy school?
For the most part,
Yeah.
I loved college.
Yeah.
When I got to moving forward towards what I wanted to be doing. I remember stressful times working with my dad. He put the times tables on a big shirt cardboard and trying to drill me through those. So that wasn't very much fun. But, again, I like the social aspect, and I studied hard, but I always did pretty well in school.
Okay.
Yeah.
And socially, you always had a nice group of friends?
Yes, very much so. I had to stop myself from chit-chatting in class.
Okay.
Yeah.
Loves to
I
talk a lot.
went through, like many teenagers do, I went through a period of feeling very insecure and feeling like I was the only one type of thing. And then I connected with a girlfriend who felt the same way, and moved forward through that. But I went through an awkward stage for a while.
Okay.
As many of us
So it
do.
happens to a lot of us, all of us, people say. Where did you go to college?
I went to Temple University. Actually, I went my first year to Philadelphia Community College to prove to my parents. Even though I graduated highest honors from high school, it just wasn't a thing that girls did back then, routinely.
Okay.
But I knew that I wanted to. So I went the first year to community college, transferred to Temple University, went a year there, then applied for physical therapy school, which was very, very competitive. They had hundreds of applicants for like 36 spaces. A lot of people were applying for second and third time around, and blessedly I got in the first time. And that was a wonderful start to my hands-on healing journey, just in another way. Yeah, I loved it. It's very very relationship oriented. That matters to me.
And physical therapy is very scientific based.
Yes, it's very much traditional left brain logical thinking. Yes.
Okay, we'll get back to that later.
Yeah.
What did you find challenging as a child? Sounds like you
Well,
had a pretty good life.
my mom had this thing.
Okay.
That if something got done that we weren't supposed to do, she would punish both my sister and I until she found out who did it. And my sister will fully acknowledge to you that she was the wilder one of the two of us. So almost invariably, I was the one getting punished for something that Lori did.
And you wouldn't rat her out?
I don't remember about that part. That's a really good question, but maybe sometimes I did. I don't remember. But I do remember being the peacemaker in the family.
Okay.
So I didn't want anybody being mad at anybody. So I would go down and talk to my dad and try to get him to understand my sister's perspective, and then talk to my mom. But my mom was tough. I mean, when she caught you doing something,
There was
you
no
were
negotiating.
grounded for a month with no telephone privileges. I mean, and that was a big deal back then.
Oh, yes, it was.
Yeah.
Especially with you being so social.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay, well, what about as a teenager? What was challenging as a teenager? We talked about going through the awkward phase.
I really think that was probably it more than anything. Is just feeling very insecure and alone inside myself. Yeah.
What about as a young adult when you go off to college? Now you're experiencing independence.
I had no problem with that.
You were doing that?
I loved that, and I can't remember. I loved physical therapy school, and I loved, having an apartment with my girlfriends. I can't remember anything specifically, that was challenging. Probably boyfriends, maybe.
Okay. Balancing it all, maybe?
Yeah, and that remains to this day, for sure, yeah.
Now, did you work when you were going through college?
Oh, yes, I
Okay.
did, yeah. I started working from when I was a young girl. I would babysit In my very first job, I actually helped feed people in a nursing home who couldn't feed themselves.
Oh.
And then I worked as a physical therapy aide at a big hospital in Philadelphia. And back then, they gave me like a lot more responsibility than they could get away with today, with the regulations. So that was very exciting for me, wanting to go to physical therapy school and getting all that experience.
Now, when did you decide you wanted to go to physical therapy school?
Probably when I was in about 10th or 11th grade. And I already started writing letters to the colleges introducing myself at that point.
That's awesome.
And, yeah, and then kind of following up with communication later on, and yeah, it really worked. Worked to my benefit because you needed to make yourself stand out in the crowd.
Right.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah, I always knew from when I was little, well, I wanted to be a professional singer, but besides that, I wanted to help blind or handicapped kids. And so I was kind of always gearing in that direction of a helping profession.
So you wanted to be a professional singer. Have you been to Lana's Reiki voice class?
Oh yes,
Yeah.
I'm certified in Reiki sound and Reiki voice,
nice.
and I've been connected with Lana since before I even moved here.
Really?
Yes, I actually took a class that she gave in Lancaster many years before I moved here, and then our paths kept crossing.
Mm-hmm.
So now we are really good friends and supporters of each other.
That's great.
Yeah,
love
so
to
I
hear
do.
that.
I blend my voice in with my work. She encourages me all the time to do that more.
Good.
And
Isn't it funny how now that's all come together?
oh yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, I actually sang in a duo for a while.
Did you?
For several years while I was in Lewisburg.
We need to do a spiritual social night and get you and Lana to sing together.
Oh,
She
well,
used to be
Lana's
there,
a
too.
singer. Yeah, Lana is quite the singer, yeah.
That would be so cool.
Yeah. We were talking about my sister, the funniest memory. You didn't ask about the funniest memory, but
Bring it.
my sister caught me one day when I was a young girl holding a hand-held kitchen strainer as a microphone and singing to my own reflection in the oven door.
Nice, very nice.
And so it begins.
That's great. Do you remember what you were singing?
No.
No? Okay.
I do not. And I, that was the big secret she held over me for many years, but now I don't care. so.
Exactly. Now it's out there for everyone to know.
Yes, it's all good. It's all good.
That's
it's
great.
fun. Yeah.
What do you find challenging now?
Holding the balance of it all, because I'm really aware that I am living Reiki, and I need to be always an example of Reiki, which is balance. So I work a lot, I need to work a lot, and I want to work a lot, and I'm guided to work a lot, but I also, need to take care of my personal self as Rickie, who likes to do other things, to sing and play, and so just consciously and constantly making sure that I'm creating time for all of that, and to try to fit in some exercise and all those things to keep my body, mind, and spirit in alignment, because that's really important to me.
Now, what do you do to play?
Well, singing is one, and yes, I still love that, and I still do that. Connecting with people, being with friends. I love to dance. That's fun and playful and very healing and emotionally expressive for me. I like to play around online because, again, that's like Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
That's an extension of the social. But I'm really conscious. I'm very sensitive, so I'm very conscious of what I choose to allow in.
Okay.
And I'm also extremely conscious of what I choose to put on Facebook and any kind of social media, because it's an extension of me.
Mm-hmm.
And we need the balance on there. So, I would say the answer is just making sure that I'm holding that balance. And sometimes I need to pull myself away from here because I love it. I love it here so much.
It would be difficult to leave here.
It is.
Yeah.
It is definitely.
It's
says that Rickie has an awesome voice.
I love you too, Lana.
See, we gotta get you two singing together.
Oh,
that would be
really
awesome.
fun. That would be really fun.
That would
yeah.
be fantastic.
Yes, we have done some events together with sound healing where we both incorporate voice.
No, I'm
But
talking
you're
about
talking
you
about
guys
singing.
getting up there and just putting on a little show.
Oh,
that would
that
be nice.
sounds cool.
I know what I was going to ask, and it was funny because I want to ask you if you ever just sit and let your mind go blank. You seem very alert and conscious of everything. Do you ever just let your mind relax?
Yes.
And wanting to ask that question, I totally let my mind relax, and I lost the question.
You're feeling the energy
I am.
here. It's all good. Well, yes, because I do myself Reiki every single day.
Okay.
And so to me, that leads me right into a meditative state.
Okay, good.
So, yeah, that even just moments to minutes of that quiet, conscious
Your mind.
breathing and connection and bringing in the energy and grounding myself is really important for me every single day.
Good.
I'm sensitive and I share a lot of, energy flow. Yes.
And the way you are focused on the smallest little details, it just made me want to ask if you ever let that shut down.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm not a perfectionist by nature,
Mhm.
But it matters to me in this work. You're right. That
Mhm.
everything is kind of just so.
Yeah.
When we're out at events with some of the Reiki space practitioners, they tease me because I make sure there's just enough dark purple Hershey Kisses in the bowl, and everything. All the pens are lined up nicely because I
Right.
really care.
It's
It's
presentation.
an extension of me, and I
Right.
really care about that. Yeah.
Now, do you ever let any other practitioners work on you?
Oh yes,
Yeah?
absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, do you enjoy other modalities other than just Reiki?
To receive?
Mhm.
Oh yeah, take me on yours. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I love massage.
Mhm.
And yes, I've received craniosacral work. I receive reflexology regularly. One of the practitioners here is a licensed esthetician, so we do Reiki facials, and yes,
Okay.
absolutely. I think it's really important for everybody to create time to receive, and when
Yes.
you do this work, even more so, not less so. So
Yeah.
self-healing is part of Reiki and is a wonderful experience to allow you to be present and grounded every day,
Mhm.
but it doesn't ever take the place of laying on someone's table and allowing yourself to open and be vulnerable and just receive. And that's what allows you to keep doing it, because you've got to stay filled up.
Yes. Yes, and unfortunately, I know I'm guilty of it. I don't get received enough.
I'll be happy to share with you.
I would be honored.
Yes. We can do a trade.
Okay. Okay, so you're in physical therapy school. When did you start your spiritual journey, or has it something that you've always been on and you just kind of evolved?
Well, I've been empathic since I could remember, even as a baby, as a small girl. So that aspect has always been a part of me. But I went a very traditional route. I never even heard the word Reiki, for most of my time. In about 1994, friends of mine, husband and wife, took a Reiki 1 class. This was when I was living in Lewisburg, and they asked me to babysit for their son. I never even heard of Reiki.
Okay.
I was just doing them a favor. And then they came home and practiced on me. And I was going through a divorce, which is still a hard word to get out of my mouth, but even then it was just very profound for me emotionally. And I grew up very much a people pleaser kind of personality, so I had been holding a lot of stuff inside. And so I had a profound dramatic response to the Reiki right from the very beginning. And so initially, that's what sparked me on the path for my own personal emotional healing. But once I learned and moved forward, the physical therapy and the Reiki just blended perfectly together. I was doing physical therapy in a nursing home, and so I could help the clients calm down, because physical therapy can be a little scary and painful.
Right.
I was able to get much easier range of motion. It was just,
So it's
just a
very
couple-
easily blended together
Oh,
for
yeah,
you.
and the staff there absolutely loved it. Yes, whenever there was conflict, they would call me and I put my hands on everybody's shoulders. People had a workplace injury, they would, obviously they had to be cleared by the nurse, but, I was able to provide some healing in that way that maybe they didn't need to take off from work or they didn't need to go to the doctor, so that was very cool. And once I did actually start a Reiki practice, having that knowledge and wisdom of the body has been tremendously helpful, and because people will come with pain issues and other things that are relevant to my physical therapy background, and also it just gives me a lot of credibility because I came from that left brain logical
Yes.
traditional background. So I work with a lot of healthcare professionals, doctors, nurses, and just professionals in general, attorneys and so on. And so I'm very comfortable interacting in that world. And I don't present, because I'm not, new age, spacey.
Because you're not.
Right, yeah, and Reiki isn't.
Right.
So I'm able to present it in a way that's very grounded and relatable, and that's been a really important part of this journey for me. But both worlds blended very, very well for me.
So you never had any apprehension about introducing Reiki?
No,
Nothing at all?
I really didn't, and I think that's one of the gifts that I think I bring to this is the ability to put it into words
Yes.
in a way and intuitively connecting to where the person is so that I can speak the language they need to hear and not say too much or too little, so we don't get that glazed over eyes look.
Oh, no, they're gone.
It's so easy, yeah, and once they're gone, they're gone.
Yes.
So, yeah, I've always been very comfortable with that aspect. So I brought this, into and continue to, very traditional business world, both as far as, like the Chamber of Commerce, as well as, banks, credit unions, lunch and learns, all that around the area. So here and in Lewisburg when I first started. Yeah, and I love that.
And you're right. Being able to speak the language and coming from the left brain with the
Yes.
physical therapy background is huge.
Yes, it is.
That's a big part of it.
One of the first things that I got involved with when I first moved here to this area, it doesn't even exist anymore, but there was an integrative medicine committee at Hershey Med Center.
Oh, really?
And so I jumped right into that. But on the other side of the spectrum, I jumped right into the Central Pennsylvania Association of Female Executives. And, it never even crossed my mind that I don't belong in that world.
Right.
So there was a lot of educating, but I love that. And, I think it's more than my words, people see and feel me very consistently over time.
Yes.
I'm not in and out, and up and down and all over the place.
No, and
I'm
you
there,
being,
and I'm solid.
You being
and-
comfortable in the information that you're delivering.
Yes, exactly.
It makes people relax and be,
Yes.
yes. You just
It is
take it in.
natural, and so they can see and feel that it is natural.
Yes. And like you said, you're very grounded, so it's not
Yes.
coming from the new age, as my brother would say, granola.
Exactly. Yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with granola.
No, there's not anything
No.
wrong with any of it.
No, everybody
But
has their own
in
approach.
order to bring it forward into the world in a concrete way,
I was gonna say, that's a great word, in a concrete
yeah,
way. Yes.
you have to ground it.
Yes.
Right. Or else this physical structure could not be lasting over time. It's the balance. I have a mentorship program that I call Follow Your Heart and Do It Smart. So yes, I'm very tuned into my guidance, and I am in total trust and faith of that.
Right.
And I'm willing to take the steps forward that need to be taken on a consistent, persistent basis. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes
Yeah.
absolute sense.
Yeah.
Absolute sense. So, at what point, you're doing your physical therapy, you're combining it with the Reiki, at what
Mhm.
point do you still do any physical therapy?
I do not.
Okay, at what point
Yeah.
did you separate that?
Well, I started gradually doing less and less physical therapy as I built my Reiki practice.
Okay. And when did you start
Yeah.
Reiki with Rickie?
Yes. So my first Reiki table I received as a gift.
Okay.
And so I started initially with a room in my home in Lewisburg. It was right off the front door.
Mhm.
And I went with the rainbow colors as my theme. You know, of course, all the chakra colors and the
Right.
colors of the rainbow. But also it was, for me, bridging the gap between the complementary and the traditional healing, between Eastern and Western medicine. So I actually hand carved a stamp and hand stamped every business card with that rainbow. When I first got started. Now, I wasn't very busy back then. It was just something I was doing on the side of my physical therapy work. But it was really important to me that my energy went into every single one, and I love that. So I started, you know, just with friends and family and co-workers, people that I knew, because it was in my house. I didn't charge a fee initially. I just had a love donation box in the room so that I'd step out and people could put in whatever they felt comfortable. That felt very spiritual to
Yeah.
me, and it allowed a lot of people to experience Reiki who maybe couldn't have otherwise.
Mhm.
And then one of the nurses where I did physical therapy work, who was also one of my clients, opened a little wellness center on Market Street in Lewisburg. And she asked me to come in and practice Reiki there. And it was actually, felt like a really big decision at the time, because I knew that if I went into a professional space and had to be paying rent,
Mhm.
that I'd have to start charging a fee. And that was a real growing edge for me at the time, you know, being able to accept that work. But I just, you know, I have long ago learned on this journey that my job is to say yes when opportunity comes.
Okay.
So I decided to give it a try. All my clients from home followed me there. They were very happy to pay the fee, and they asked me to bring the love donation box.
Oh, really?
So for years, in fact, all the years till I moved here, the fee never went into my hands. It always went into the box. And that was a beautiful way for me to transition
Yes.
until I became comfortable, you know, for that exchange to happen.
And
So
how
that was
long did
very
it
cool.
take for you to become comfortable?
Well, when I moved here 10 years
Okay.
ago, I didn't bring the box.
You didn't bring the box, you didn't bring the box.
And yeah, so I'm very conscious and aware of, you know, balance with this giving and receiving is part of the Reiki healing principles.
Mhm.
You know, that in order for people not only to value the work and do their own work, but to feel comfortable coming back again and asking to come back again, they need to give something of exchange that feels equally balanced.
Yes.
You know, so sometimes that's money.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's an exchange of goods and services.
Mhm.
You know, I get trade with the person who does my hair, different things like that. I'm a big believer in that. I wish the whole world worked that way.
I was gonna say, it'd be nice to go
Yeah.
back to that.
Yes.
It used to be that way.
Yeah, so, you know, so I'm aware that that balance needs to happen, and I'm comfortable with that. I know the worth of what is being shared, and people value it. And, you know, I try to always keep the investment in alignment with my integrity.
Mhm.
So, you know, that's never my number one focus.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you branch out and you go to this wellness center.
Mhm.
And how long were you there?
So what happened there was, first of all, it was so cool because for the very first time, I started attracting people who weren't just my friends and neighbors. You know, it was people from the community.
Word was getting
And
out.
Word was getting out. You know, we had a big grand opening celebration, and I got to talk about Reiki to lots of people, and it excites me when I talk
And this-
about it.
And this
so they
was
were
back
feeling
in
it.
when?
This was probably in about 2000. Yeah.
It still wasn't a mainstream word then.
Oh, no, and not
No,
Lewisburg,
not at
very
all.
small, rural, conservative college town, believe me.
Which just,
So,
again,
I know.
I'm in all of the
In retrospect, I
comfort and
cannot-
energy you had behind
I
it.
know. So people felt that energy,
Yeah.
and people started coming for Reiki more than anything else there. They had reflexology, they had massage, more traditional complementary medicine.
Right.
But Reiki was what was taking off, which just blew me away. So I gradually went down from full-time to what they call PRN physical therapy, so they would call me as they needed me, which meant that I had to get my own health insurance and such. So it was a big decision, but again, things were flowing in that direction, so I just trusted.
You said yes.
I said yes. So several months later, the nurse who opened the little wellness center said, "Oh, there's rookie break for you, but I think I'm going back to nursing." Oh. So either that place was going to close and I go back to the little room in my home, which kind of felt like a step backwards at that point,
Right.
or I needed to take it over because nobody else was going to. And I have to tell you, and I've said this to my students so many times, but it's true. I never in a million years considered myself a business person. I'm the service girl.
Okay.
I still see myself that way.
Well,
But I know, yes, I know what you're saying, and I'm starting to be able to claim that,
Okay.
but it took me a long time. Yeah, a long time. So there was no on-the-job training. She just left, and so
Here, this is yours.
Yes, I very gradually, and I'm still learning the business aspects. I try to be more mindful of that every year that I move forward, because now it's not just about me; it's about the practitioners as well. So she left, and things continued to grow with my Reiki practice, doing more and more Reiki, less and less physical therapy. And then about 9 months later, the building had a fire, and my space got the worst of it. So took my Reiki table on the road. I had lots of friends with different practices in the area, and I did a day at a hair salon and a day in a children's occupational therapy practice, and on and on. And my clients followed me everywhere I went. It was amazing. And I finally opened my own space right on Market Street in Lewisburg, across from their one and only movie theater. And it was a professional office building, not a big, huge space like this, but a room big enough where I could start to put some chairs around my Reiki table and teach them little classes. I put it right out there on Market Street in Lewisburg, Lavender Heart, that's what the name of it, Reiki Center. And so I continued to grow there.
Right there.
Right there, And when I was guided to move here, by that point I was only doing 2 or 3 mornings a week of Reiki. The rest was all of physical therapy. The rest was all Reiki, which in retrospect was pretty darn amazing. I didn't realize it at the time.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah. So I was very clearly guided to come here for my next step. And
Why here?
yeah, I think because it was needed in this area, but that's not. I wasn't really, I didn't know why.
Okay, you just said yes.
I said yes.
Okay.
But not without a lot of internal kicking and screaming, because I knew I was meant to come. That came to me very clearly. But I loved Lewisburg, and my Reiki practice was my baby.
Right.
And you know how connected you get with people,
Yes,
energetically resonant.
absolutely.
And so they didn't want me to go, and I couldn't, with my left brain, logically think about why I would leave somewhere that I love.
Right.
So I went through some internal struggle about that. But when you're meant to do something, you're going to be kind of pushed along. So finally, I surrendered. And what made the difference for me was a tiny little shift in perception. I was of the mindset that I didn't want to give up, quote unquote, my Reiki practice. Well, I connected with a massage therapy practice in Lewisburg, and one day I said to her, if I move to Harrisburg, it's only about an hour and 15 minutes away, do you have a room I could use on weekends? Oh. So she said, yeah, I have a room that's available Thursday to Monday. And all of a sudden I realized I didn't have to give up anything. So with that tiny little shift in perception, instantaneously the world opened up. And I'm not exaggerating. This was in 2008, in the middle of what they call this economy.
Yeah.
There was tons of houses for sale. My house sold. I found a place to live. I found a place to practice. Boom, boom,
Everything
boom,
just
boom.
went
It's like the waters parted. And the instant that I got here, I received a lightning bolt intuition that said, it's time to let go of the security blanket and really do this. And the security blanket was my physical therapy work. I was getting offers left and right. You know, they always need PTs.
Right.
So I totally trusted my guidance. I have never pursued any physical therapy. When I first moved here, basically I knew one person. And the word Reiki was not out and about in the community 10 years ago. There were some massage therapists that knew Reiki, but nobody really
They didn't talk
promoted
about
it. And nobody had it as their main practice.
Right.
And, you know, there was a lot of naysayers all around me about this. But I knew with every fiber of my being that this was going to work. I had zero doubts, total faith. And that's why it has. I move forward with zero fear, and I know that's part of the reason why this has worked for me. So I went into somebody else's space initially because nobody knew me here, and I
You
had
knew
a
one
lot
person.
of educating to do.
Yes.
You know, both about Reiki as well as, you know, to establish some credibility for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
Now, in
last-
doing that,
yeah,
in building that credibility, that blend of left and right side brain came into play.
totally.
Because people can understand.
Yes.
You show me the science of it, okay, I get it.
Yes,
And then you were able to take them to that next level.
yes.
What an
For as
amazing
much-
educator you are.
Thank you, yeah. And, you know, for as much as can be proven scientifically at this point in our development.
Right.
Some of it is measurable, some of it is not measurable yet by standards we have.
Right. Not yet.
But there's a lot of anecdotal evidence.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
they used aspirin for 70 years before they knew how it worked. They only knew that people reported again and again, anecdotally, that it did.
Right.
So,
Excellent point.
Yeah.
It's funny with the experience that Leslie went through with the brain tumor.
Oh, wow.
She's
yeah.
coming across doctors that are they're younger doctors,
Mhm.
that are open to it being okay that they can't explain what happened.
Yeah.
You know, things along that line. You know, they wanted her checked out. You know, she had to go see
Yeah.
2 oncologists,
Yeah.
and you know, she was fearing that she was going to have to be pushed and have to fight any kind of treatment.
Wow.
She shifted her mind thought. This is going to happen with ease and grace, and both of those doctors were young, open, and said, there's no reason for you to receive any of this treatment. We
Yeah.
can't explain what happened. We know what kind, but, you know. So it's, there is
Well,
a
there-
shift. We were talking about it
there
Tuesday in the
is.
shop. There's a shift going on.
Yes, yeah. People are, in traditional medicine is even becoming more educated that, you know, the energy of our thoughts, emotions, and attitudes affect our wellness and our well-being.
Yes.
You know, that there is a spiritual and an energetic component that has to be addressed for full healing. You
Yes.
can't just remove symptoms and
You
without
can't
getting
throw a
to
pill
the
at
source.
it. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So here you come.
So I'm a believer in integrative medicine. I believe that every culture brings a piece of the truth of the whole. And when we put it together, we have holistic medicine. So I'm not advocating anything that's instead of.
Right.
I believe there's a very important role for traditional Western medicine.
Yes.
It's just not the whole answer. You know, so they, you know, somebody breaks their leg, they're not going to come to me for Reiki. You know, you've got to go get it repaired.
Right.
However, the Reiki is going to help them deal with the emotional ramifications of the accident and the trauma of going through the surgery, and it's going to help facilitate their, you know, their healing process afterwards.
Yes.
You know?
The biggest thing when I see people connect is the fact that I always tell them that it reduces your stress level.
Yeah.
And when it reduces your stress level, it increases the power of your immune system.
Absolutely.
And when you do that, healing can occur. And they're
Yes.
like, all right, that makes sense.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's
Yeah.
not as deep as I go with it.
Yeah.
I don't have
Yeah.
I have a physical education background with a lot of biology, so I can talk bodies and levers and things like
But
that.
you can talk your
Right.
experience.
And that's
People
the biggest
want
thing.
most people want to hear how it's going to help them.
Yeah.
And who does not relate to stress management, balance, and inner peace?
Yes, exactly.
Everyone needs those
Yes.
things.
So that's where you went? 10 years ago, you show up here, they're like,
Who's
who's
the
this
heck is
Rickie?
she?
Who's this Rickie and what's Rickie?
And so, yeah, exactly. So So I took my Reiki table wherever they would let me set it up. I offered complimentary mini sessions because with Reiki, once people feel it, then they get it.
Yeah.
Then all the questions go bye-bye because it becomes real.
Now,
Yeah.
now, how could you afford to give complimentary sessions?
Well, that's the time and timing of the do it smart part.
Okay.
Because I had just sold my home in Lewisburg.
Mhm.
So that gave me a little cushion of income.
Gotcha.
And
Okay.
every I think every other Thursday to Monday, I ran back to Lewisburg. Every one of my clients came every time. It was Reiki marathon. I am not kidding.
Oh,
And so
that's
that
awesome.
gave me little bursts of income for in between while I continued to build my practice here.
Okay.
So that's kind
That
of how I
makes
did
sense.
it.
Okay.
Yeah. But timing is a part of the decision of whether you're ready and is the time right for you. Because it does take a lot of time, energy, and effort.
Yeah.
To do it in the way that I wanted to do
I was
it,
gonna say
and
that
that I feel
feels right to you.
because and it's not really what even so much that I wanted to do that. I know that this is what I'm meant to be doing in the world,
Mhm.
at least for this moment. And so I always say, I'm not going to say thank you very much for showing me this, but I'm too tired, or I'd rather do this or that.
I don't feel
gonna
like it.
Yeah, what a gift. I mean, how many people, are walking around seeking what they're meant to do?
Yes, exactly.
So I say, thank you, use me, and that's how I know that has to be the first priority in my life, always. Yeah.
That's amazing. Okay, so how long did it take you to start building clients here?
It happens quicker than I expected.
Did it?
Yeah, it did. It really, really did. And so I developed a full-time Reiki practice here. And last April 1st, 5 years ago,
Mhm.
I really used the principles of energy and the law of attraction and created the vision for Reiki Space. And opened April 1st, 5 years ago. It's Harrisburg's first Reiki center.
Okay.
So that's really cool.
So I gotta tell you, sitting across from you, your life has been really good. I mean, you've had challenges.
Yes.
You haven't voiced many of those challenges, but there is one that you had mentioned before we went live that you wanted to make sure you shared with people.
Yeah, and the reason why I want to share this is because sometimes people view my presence, which is a conscious choice of sharing the positive perspective, because I know that in order to continue to share this work from a healthy place, I need to keep my vibration up. But sometimes people view that and think, oh, well, that's easy for her. She must have had some kind of easy breezy life. And so, I have been through many significant challenges, and the one that I was sharing with you, Judy, is that I lost a child at 20 years old, about 12 years ago, Ryan. And that was a life-changing experience. I already had learned Reiki, and I was primarily doing Reiki at that point in Lewisburg, and I had another son. My two boys were only 11 weeks apart. They were both adopted at 4 days old. So I needed to get back to work very quickly after this most traumatic experience of my life. And I remember the very first day going back to my Reiki center in Lewisburg. As I crossed threshold into my Reiki room, the Reiki healing principles literally came right to my face and spoke to me. And they said, are you going to really choose to live your life by this? Or are these just words? And it kind of felt like almost, to me the question was, are you going to really choose to live? Or are you going to choose to be a victim? because society would have given me permission with that kind of experience to be a victim.
Absolutely.
And also, what came to me in that moment was that I would be sharing a workshop called From Grief to Gratitude. Now, this was, weeks. And so I was nowhere near ready to even think about that at that point. I was still grieving and healing for a very long time. But those Reiki healing principles I view as literally saving my life and helping me make the conscious choice of how I wanted to move forward from this. So I knew that I wanted to allow myself to experience every emotion because those Reiki healing principles are about living in integrity. It's not about making pretend everything's fine and wonderful. It's about allowing yourself to fully express and experience every emotion, and then choosing to come back to the place of peace. So I had to do that literally moment by moment during those times. And from that, I created what I call the Rickie healing principles.
Okay.
So, the first one is just for today I release all anger. Well, just for today felt way too long for me. So I say, in this moment, I choose peace. I love that choice word.
I like that, yes.
And because I incorporate these Reiki healing principles into my world every day, and I'm so conscious of the vibration of words themselves,
Yes.
I don't want to keep saying anger over and over. I understand that they were developed as a teaching.
Right.
They weren't developed as affirmations. But this is what resonates for me. And so the second one says, just for today I release all worry. I say, in this moment I choose faith. And I don't mean faith necessarily from a religious perspective. It's the knowing that I am not going to get stuck in this situation. I will make it to the other side. And even though I cannot figure out what the lessons are in the midst of this challenge, that once I get to the other side, I will be able to see those gifts. And, it will all become part of who I am meant to be in the world. And so it took me 5 years, but I have shared that workshop From Grief to Gratitude a few times now. It's very different than most of the other workshops that I share, but it's very healing for people who need to hear that message. And, I feel like my son and my mom, really, because those are the two significant losses in my life, are with me in my Reiki room every single day. I consciously choose to connect with them. And I feel like I still have a relationship with them. It's just on a different level now.
Yeah.
And that's what brings me comfort and peace. Yeah.
It's as you were talking, I kept seeing the meme, people things don't make you happy, blah, 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 doesn't. Being happy is a conscious choice. You are a
Absolutely.
walking example of
Yes.
making that conscious choice
Yes.
to choose happiness and joy. And I love the fact that you made a point out of saying it doesn't mean that you put a smile on and you fake it.
No.
It's about honoring every emotion
Yes.
and allowing yourself to move through it.
In fact, before I learned Reiki as the people pleaser, I saw the world through rose-colored glasses. I didn't want to see anything that was less than that. Not, from a place of love. That's just the way, that I kind of grew up.
Right.
So I am more real now than I have ever been in my life. Yes. It's a total path of integrity. And knowing that if I want to be a healing presence in the world, which I choose, that I need to continually bring myself back to the place of peace, because that is the only place I can be to allow this work to flow through me. Yeah.
It's very empowering.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Now, not that I want to keep bringing up the hardships of your life, but you very briefly touched on the fact that you were divorced. What age did you marry?
22.
Did you? Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and I was married for 15 and a half years and adopted the 2 boys. So I had a 4-day-old and an 11-week-old at the same time. I know. It was amazing. And, went through a lot of challenges, with Ryan. His whole life, he was diagnosed bipolar schizophrenic. So it was a challenging ride for both of us. But we were very spiritually connected. I love both of my children, and I loved him with all my heart. And even going through that, I would not make another choice. I would do it again.
Now, what about your other son?
Yeah, Ronnie is 32, and he lives in Milton, outside of Lewisburg, and we're very close. And he frequently reaches out to me and said, "Can you send me Reiki for this or that, or send my friend Reiki? They're going through this or that." He hasn't taken the class yet, Ron, but I believe he will when the time is right. He is very sensitive and empathic himself. He also works in an assisted living, so it will be a really nice tool for his own personal well-being as well as his clients. So
Okay.
yeah.
Now, let's talk about your center's beautiful.
Thank you.
You teach many workshops and classes.
Yes.
Well, let's talk about your Reiki classes first, level 1,
Okay.
2, and 3.
Yeah, I teach the master level in 2 parts actually. Reiki 3A, which is master practitioner, Reiki 3B, which is master teacher. And the master practitioner level I teach is, I think, kind of unique. I have prerequisites for my master level classes because I take this very seriously.
Absolutely.
And so we spend a lot of time in that 3A class talking about how do you live this as a spiritual path, because to me that's what being a Reiki master is.
Right.
And also, how do you talk about it to people from all different walks of life? So we actually practice different scenarios. How do you talk about it with someone who's religious versus someone who's not? How do you talk about it with someone that's in the healthcare profession? Someone who's done energy work, someone who's brand new to energy work, and we practice all these different scenarios. And I wait all the way to that master level to do that because it is challenging to put something like this into words.
Right.
You really need to get it down to your bones before you can do that.
Yes.
And also because, as you move forward on the Reiki path, by raising your vibration, you connect more with your intuition. And it is an intuitive process to be able to connect very quickly with different people or different groups to know where they are.
Right.
And how much you should say or not
I was going to say, exactly.
Right.
And what should come out.
Right.
So,
And then 3B, of course, is the teacher. Yeah.
I love
And
that.
I teach Reiki kids. So I've taught kids as young as 5. Yeah, and I love that. They're easy.
Yeah.
Because they don't have the filters that
Exactly, they're open
resistance
to
is.
it.
Yeah, they get it. They get it. It's so natural.
It's
Yeah.
one of those things that keep it, don't
Yeah.
lose it.
Yeah. And I also teach Reiki for healthcare professionals. Of course, they can take any of the classes, but in that class, we focus a little more on how to integrate it into their into their practices and such. Yeah.
So if someone wants to sign up for a class
Mhm.
or get a session from you,
Mhm.
how do they contact you?
Well, I'm very communicative.
Yes, very social.
So my website is ReikiByRickie.com. You can sign up on my mailing list, and I send out a monthly newsletter. My email is Rickie@ReikiByRickie.com. And I'm also on Facebook and LinkedIn, and so text me 717-599-2299. However you want to reach me, I will do my best to get back to you as quickly as I can in light of my busy days.
Now, the last expo, when we saw you, the
Yes.
Spirit of Oneness, you had, 4 or 5 practitioners at your stand.
Mhm.
How many practitioners do you have that work?
Yeah.
Do they work for you, or they work with you?
No, they're all independent
They're all
practitioners.
independent, okay.
Yes, right. So the practitioner program is for students that I've shared Reiki training with, to be able to offer sessions here in Reiki space and become part of our team so that we can offer Reiki together out at different events like Spirit of Oneness and other health fairs and things like that.
Now, I was part of your, it was an event A day of pampering for healthcare
For
providers.
caregivers.
Caregivers,
Oh,
yes.
I love that.
That was amazing.
Yes.
That was so much fun.
Yes.
So you do many different events like that.
Yes, and we donate a lot of time and services because the essence of Reiki is that it's a service.
Right.
And so, it is such a blessing to be able to share that. That is a beautiful event, and the people who come there really don't usually take time for themselves, and they really appreciate everything that we share with them.
That was a
I've
great
done that
day.
for several years
Yeah.
now, and we will never miss a time for that one.
That was a
Yeah.
great day. Can people who have had Reiki level 1 through someone else come to you for 2?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, as long as it's an Usui Reiki class, so that we're on the same page.
Well, that was going to be my next
And-
question. There's so many different Reikis out there.
Mhm.
You teach Usui.
Yes, I
Okay.
have learned other Reiki,
Mhm.
but again, I was very clearly guided that this is what I meant to do and teach. To me, I consider this the original pure form of Reiki, and you can take it wherever you want from there.
Okay.
But, one of the quotations that I've become semi-famous for here in Reiki space is, I believe the source is the source, of course. That actually came through me when I was a Botswana one day. And so, our job in this is to keep doing our own work, keep ourselves clearer and clearer so that we can connect with more and more of that high frequency vibration. We're already connected with the highest frequency vibration, in my perspective.
Right.
It's not about the source changing, it's about us changing.
Yes. And
Right.
yes.
So it's fun and interesting to take other classes, to learn from different teachers, but once you have the basics, you have everything you need as long as you continue to do your own work.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's beautiful. I always say Reiki was my gateway drug. It was what brought me in.
Yes,
Yeah.
and for a lot of people, I say, for some people Reiki leads to more Reiki,
Mhm.
and for other people, it just supports you and guides you, whatever's next on your path. Yeah.
So we have a lot of new people to the
Mhm.
spiritual community that watch the show. Do you have any pearls of wisdom, words of wisdom that you'd like to give to them that are beginning their journey, and even practitioners that are looking to start their own businesses? Do you have any words of wisdom
Wow.
for them?
Well, for people that are starting their own personal journey, I would say just to remember that it is always about you, about taking care of your own self. Because as you continue to do your own work, whether or not you choose to put your hands on anyone, you become a healing presence in the world. And the world really, really needs that. And that's the same at every level of Reiki. It's about about you. So you don't put yourself second or last on the list. A lot of people who are nurturer, caregiver personalities, people who are sensitive, are very attracted to this work. And they want to give it away.
Yes.
But in order to allow this to flow through in a healthy way, you've got to do it from a filled up place. And that means taking care of yourself first. Yeah, and as far as professionally, keeping the perspective, for me, I can only speak from my own personal experience, keeping the perspective of love and service first. For me, the focus is never on dollars, numbers, competition, or fear.
Okay.
Right? So, and staying grounded is really, really important in this, because you need to have a consistent and persistent presence. This takes a lot of time, energy, and effort. And so once you take that step forward, you can't be in and out and up and down all over the place. You've got to be there and continue to be there and continue to do your own work. Yeah.
You're just full of wisdom.
I'm full of something.
But I like it.
Thank you, Judy. This is really fun.
Do you have any workshops that you would like to tell anyone about coming up?
Oh,
or?
wow, yeah, I should have
You
pulled
always
up
have
the
something
schedule.
doing here.
Yeah, I would say get on the Reiki by Rickie mailing list, because in addition to my own workshops that I share, I bring in a lot of other speakers and healers that are that resonate with this space and the work that I offer here, which is all based on the energy. I'm actually sharing a workshop coming up in Lancaster the beginning of March that's called From Passion to Profession, Yes You Can. So for those healers that are ready to take that next step and would like some, kind of personalized guidance, that would be a good choice. Yeah. And of course, I always have all the Reiki classes going on an ongoing basis. So.
We didn't even talk about your second location.
Oh, yes.
You want to give that a little plug?
Yeah,
first,
just a
real
little
quick?
plug. Yeah, I mean, most people don't talk about their age, but I turned 62 just last week, and a lot of my friends are like talking about retirement, and I just feel like there's so much more to go from it.
You're like, I've just started.
I know. And so I can feel some of that. And so we just actually started sharing Reiki on the West Shore also, because there's some people that just don't want to cross that river. My latest flyer says there ain't no river wide enough to keep us from serving you.
I love it.
So we now have a space available on the West Shore also. So we're East Shore and West Shore. And, I see myself expanding more and more into speaking, mentoring, and just staying open to the possibilities. Being willing to keep saying yes.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for spending so much time with us tonight.
It was so much fun. Thank you so much for including me.
Wow, it's been great to get to know you a bit more.
Thank you, too, Judy.
I look forward to sitting with you in class.
And I'll share some Reiki with you and get you filled up again.
All right, that would be great. All right, do we have any questions,
No
comments?
questions.
No?
No.
Okay, well, thank everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. Don't forget you're awesome.